When the leaves turn brown, fall is here. A perfect time for fun playing fear. Apple picking, trick-or-treaters finding a costume you can flaunt. Building up the courage to face the next big hunt. Now's the time to show your friends you're braver than the rest. Join me now as we check out these horror games for the NES. Man, this game's pretty fun. Oh! Before you kill me, Jason, can you tell me at least why you're so upset with me? Oh, yeah, I get it. I'm playing a Nightmare on Elm Street. Gotta do my research, bro. I just need to find out which game's scarier. Oh, you want me to play that? Alright, I'll give it a go. Yeah, I'm totally dead. Aloha, my name is Mike and I'm a Hawaiian and US Navy Seabee veteran. Welcome to the Gaming Road Warrior channel, where we talk about retro games from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Today we're getting into the Halloween spirit with a special versus matchup. Friday the 13th NES versus A Nightmare on Elm Street NES. Two of the most infamous horror games ever to haunt the Nintendo Entertainment System. And stick around for the 2000s Game Break, where we'll take a look at Elvira's Monster Party, a fan-made NES hack of the original Monster Party, featuring the ever-gorgeous Mistress of the Dark herself. In this episode, we'll look at each game's development, story, characters, and gameplay. Grab an extra pair of underwear and a flashlight because we're hitting the throttle to the gaming wasteland. A Nightmare on Elm Street was one of those games I rented from the local video store. That weekend, my buddy Kevin came over to spend the night, and I remember being blown away by the LGN box art here, the 4-player on the NES. That was mind-blowing. Typically, I kept my NES at my Aunt Betty's house because she let me play as long as I wanted to. At home, my stepdad only allowed me 1 hour a day, but since my mom let Kevin spend the night, that rule went out the window. We even rented a few cheesy horror movies and a VCR to keep the night going. We hooked up the NES to the color TV my sister gave me, the one with the VHF and UHF dials, and the coaxial connection in the back. It might have been old, but to me it was awesome. We fired up the game and right away we noticed something strange. Freddy was missing his glove, and the blades were just coming straight out of his fingers? Weird, but still cool. The multiplayer feature was great, and the whole vibe reminded me of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which was my favorite Freddy movie, by the way. But before we get into the story behind the game, let's rewind to where Freddy's Nightmare first began. Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street series began with the release of the original film in November 1984. It rocked the box office worldwide with more than 57 million in ticket sales, and went on to spawn a long-running series, starring one of the most popular horror icons in movie history, Freddy Krueger. Some movies were better than others, but hey, that's the 80s for you. Soon after the first movie, Freddy showed up everywhere. Bubblegum, lunchboxes, yo-yos, masks, even dolls. So when toy and game publisher LGN announced a video game version in April 1989, the franchise was already massive. Early coverage described a very different game. You'd actually play as Freddy hunting down teens just like the movie. But video games back then were seen as kid-friendly, and parents didn't want their kids controlling a teen-murdering monster. That game had you play as Leatherface, and it bombed. To avoid the same fate, LGN handed Elm Street to Rare, who completely overhauled it. After an extra year of development, it released in October 1990, right between the Dream Child and Freddy's Dead. Now instead of playing as Freddy, you play as teens trying to banish him. Up to 4 players with NES Satellite, or Fourscore. Explore locations from the films, collect Freddy's bones, and burn them in the furnace beneath Elm Street High. You'll dodge enemies, collect coffee or boomboxes to stay awake, and when the sleep meter runs out, you enter the Dream World, a tougher, deadlier version of each stage. Dream Warriors get cool power-ups. The Shadow Warrior, Shurikens plus Jump Kick, Acrobat, Javelins plus Somersault, Necromancer, Fireballs and Hover. Collect radios to wake up. Take too long and Freddy shows up for a boss fight, sometimes in pretty weird forms. It's a solid movie tie-in for its time, but reviews call it an average platformer. Still, for fans of the movies and NES horror, it's worth revisiting. I first played Friday the 13th by borrowing it from my friend Kevin, over and over again. I probably should have just asked for it on my birthday. Why did I play this so much? Because it scared me. NES games weren't supposed to be scary, but this one terrified me, especially when Jason showed up in those cabins. The map was, yeah, confusing, but I didn't care. Kevin had lent me the manual, so I wasn't flying blind. That cartridge art though, so cool. Even though I hadn't seen many of the films yet, the game made me curious. My first rental was Jason Goes to Hell. My first theater watch was Jason X, then Freddy vs. Jason, which I loved by the way. And then Jason Lives, and then Jason Takes Over Manhattan hooked me. And the Scream Factory Blu-ray set made me appreciate the older films even more. I always loved Jason's purple look in the game. Unusual, yeah, but it still scared me as a kid. I gave this version its own identity. Every fight with him felt like a horror version of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! But before we talk about how this infamous game came to be, let's head back to the lake and see where Jason's legend first began. The year before Freddy made his big debut on the NES, Jason Voorhees appeared on Nintendo's home console. Like Elm Street, Friday the 13th was already a long-running franchise. The first movie hit in 1980. The NES game arrived in 1989. By then, the series was on its 8th film. LGN published it. Atlas developed it. Released in February 1989. It puts you in the shoes of camp counselors instead of the slasher. You can switch between 6 counselors, each with unique stats and inventories. And when one dies, their items are gone. Your goal: defeat Jason 3 times. You'll explore Camp Crystal Lake, fight bats, crows, wolves, zombies, and even the floating head of Pamela Voorhees. Reception? Infamous. It's often listed among the NES's worst. Confusing mechanics, tough difficulty, and of course, Jason's purple palette. Maybe that's harsh, but people really do hate this game. I can't recommend it as a must-play, but I'll happily stream it. For me though, I've always loved it, especially that purple look. Wait, why are there people outside my house with torches and pitchforks? Anyway, let's move on to the 2000s Game Break.
2000s Game Break.
Unlike the last 2 games, Monster Party isn't based on a movie franchise. Released in August 1989, it starts as a typical NES side-scroller until things get weird. You're Mark, a kid who sees a comet crash nearby. Out steps Bert, a demon-like creature who asks for help fighting monsters on this planet. They fuse, letting you transform into Bert for a short burst, kinda like a proto-devil trigger. Enemies include Grim Reaper, mummies, spiders, Medusa, and more. While Audrey 2, Little Shop of Horrors made it in it, others like Planet of the Apes, Gremlins, and Alien references were cut for copyright reasons. In one creature that did make it, a grotesque shrimp mutant, clearly inspired by The Fly, still found in the Elvira's Monster Party hack. Even without the movie monsters, it's packed with personality. Killer Cat in a Box, Mohawk Rocker, Rolling Caterpillar, pure NES weirdness. Fan hacks took it further. My favorite, Elvira's Monster Party. You play as the Mistress of the Dark herself, with a new story, bat transformation, and a flaming sword. However you play it, Monster Party is a blast, especially when you're jumping around slaying monsters as Elvira. And that brings us to the end of this special Halloween episode of the Gaming Road Warrior. For me, Friday the 13th might not be perfect, especially with that confusing map and some of those sucky camp counselors who can't run fast or jump high. But man oh man, I remember that feeling of dread every time I entered the cabin to save another counselor or the kids. I'd think, nope, I really don't want to find Jason in here. But then that music hits, and suddenly I'm in a fight for my life. That scared me so much as a kid, yet I was fascinated by the idea of an R-rated horror game that I could actually play. The woods creeped me out, and the moment I found Pamela Voorhees' floating head completely shocked me. It was a genuinely scary experience, one I'll never forget. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street was the opposite for me. It didn't really scare me when I rented it, but I still loved it for how bizarre it was. And since it tied into Dream Warriors, my favorite Freddy movie, it's always had a special place in my heart. Even if it wasn't scary, it was fun, imaginative, and pure Freddy chaos. So yeah, Jason takes the win for this one. Alright, Retro Warriors. It's been one heck of a spooky October. Take care and remember... Where?
Now sweet, fresh meat.
Where am I? No! Okay, yeah, definitely not sleeping tonight. This video was a blast to make. Huge thanks to my buddy Air Force Jason for coming back to help with the intro skit. And of course, a big thank you to my channel members. The Retro Warrior Knights, Sir Mr. Post Owl, Sir Retro Man Randy Savage, and Sir Mike's Gaming Gala. You guys are awesome. I've got 2 new emotes coming your way for live streams, or whenever you want to drop them in the comments. Your support means the world to me, and I truly appreciate you being part of the Gaming Road Warrior family. If you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends, family member, or someone you know who loves NES games. Every time you share a Gaming Road Warrior video, it helps new Retro Warriors find their way to the channel, and that means the world to me. Have a happy Halloween, Retro Warriors, and remember, gaming is your road to adventure.
And dread the lonely nights. I'm not